Hey, sixth grade. So I realized while we were doing this first problem and our last part of this screencast video that I actually had a small pitfall. I accidentally changed around Greg and Jeff in this part of the chart that we made. So I had to pause and switch around some names, Greg and Jeff, so that we could get this right. So Greg has $2 more than his brother Jeff. Write an expression for how much money Greg has. Okay, so how we're going to describe this is actually, here we go, here's my pitfall. J is Jeff's money in dollars. And so if we were to write an expression for this, we would actually be writing J, the amount of money that Jeff has, plus 2. And we don't know exactly how much we're starting with, but we could evaluate this expression if, let's pretend like Jeff has $12. Okay, so if Jeff has $12, then how we're going to be solving this is J plus 2. I'm substituting in 12 where I see a J, so 12 plus 2 equals 14. Therefore, Greg has $14 when Jeff has 12. Okay, and then we're gonna solve the other half of this problem. So that was the second part of my pitfall. I apologize for that. I got the names Jeff and Greg confused when I was thinking about this. So Greg has $2 more than Jeff. Write an expression for the amount of money Jeff has. So G is going to represent Greg's money in dollars. And so the expression that we would use to write for this one would be the amount of money Greg has minus 2. That will tell us how much money Jeff has. Because Greg has $2 more, that means Jeff has 2 less or 2 fewer dollars than Greg. So it's actually a subtraction problem. And let's evaluate this. Let's pretend like Greg has $14. So we're going to take our expression, G minus 2, and we're going to substitute in a 14 where I see a G. So 14 minus 2 equals 12. This means Jeff has $12 when Greg has 14. Okay? And so our next problem is not about those brothers. Now we have a problem about Abby and Kristen. So Abby read 8 more books than Kristen. Write an expression for the number of books Abby read. So we're going to have K be the number of books that Kristen read. And so our expression is going to be K plus those 8 books. And let's pretend like Kristen read 9 books. Let's evaluate this if she read 9. Now I could pick any number, but let's just pick 9 because it would be easy to plug into this. So we're gonna take our expression, K plus 8, and we're gonna substitute in a 9 where we see a K. So now we have 9 plus 8 is 17. So when Kristen reads 9 books, Abby reads 17. Okay. So for the next chunk, we have write an expression for the number of books that Kristen read if Abby read 6 more. So this time we have to let A represent the number of books Abby read. Our expression, therefore, will be the number of books Abby read minus the 6 more that she read than Kristen. So let's pretend like Abby read 20 books. We can take our expression and plug in a 20 whenever we see an A. So 20 minus 6 is 14. So when Abby reads 20 books, Kristen reads 14. All right, and we're almost done. We have just 2 more. And our last set of problems is about soccer. So Ian scored 4 fewer goals than Julia in the second half of the season. Write an expression for the number of goals that Ian scored. Ian scored 4 fewer goals than Julia. So that means Julia scored more. So our expression, we're going to have J be the number of goals scored by Julia in the second half of the season. Therefore, our expression is going to be J minus the 4 goals. So let's solve this if Julia scored 8 goals. So we'll take our expression, J minus 4, and if she scored 8 goals, then 8 minus 4 equals 4. So that means when Julia scores 4 goals, when Julia scores 8 goals, Ian scores 4 goals in the second half of the season. Okay? And then the very last one, write an expression for the number of goals that Julia scored. Okay, so let's add a little bit more detail to this problem. Ian scored 3 fewer goals than Julia in the second half. So if Ian scores 3 fewer goals than Julia in the second half, and I is the number of goals that Ian scores, then our expression will be the number of goals that Ian scores, I, plus the 3 extra goals that Julia scores over him. So our expression can be solved, let's say if Ian scores 13 goals, that means we would take I plus 3 and substitute in 13 wherever we see that I. So 13 plus 3 equals 16. That means when Ian scores 13 goals, Julia scores 16. All right, E4, thanks so much.